AI SEO is a change management problem. So here's one that was on Search Engine Journal, and I thought it was a brilliant article because what AI search, AI SEO, or generative engine optimization, or GEO, whatever we're calling it, is basically you have to, and we've talked about this over and over and over. We're going to keep talking about it over and over and over because this is a reoccurring thing. People are going to have to, if you're a business owner, you're a marketer, you have to change the way you think for AI
Mm-hmm.
SEO and for AI search, generative engine optimization. What used to work doesn't work for this marketing platform. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different entity. But the fundamentals of understanding who your audiences are, understanding, what you're targeting, what your unique selling proposition is, understanding your brand, your products and services and how they relate to that, understanding in having good usability on a website, good, clear, and concise conversion elements on your site, what goals you wanted to accomplish, clear, concise content, right? Having a good technical structure for traditional modern SEO, having good quality content. If you're advertising, understand what the return on that advertising is, right? These are all things, looking for ways to nurture, whether it be in social media or in email marketing. That stuff isn't changing. But what is changing is the layer of AI search and generative engine optimization that needs to get put on top of that. And I think the biggest
Mm-hmm.
mindset change is you have to be a marketer. And I think that this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a tough thing, especially C-suite. I think marketing people get it. Marketing people understand, like, duh, this is stuff we've been doing. It's just how we're doing it needs to change. But
Mm-hmm.
how the marketing fundamentals, don't really change. I was taught that earlier in my career that the communication vehicles might change, but the fundamentals of marketing traditionally don't actually change, right?
Right.
The mediums do, the technology does, and how it's conveyed does. And that's what's happening here. Where I think C-suite's going to struggle with this, and that's why change management problem is they're reluctant to change. They're reluctant, like we talked about, enterprise, large companies having large cycles, a lot of internal processes and red tape, and like they need to understand that this is a different marketing medium completely,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not an apples to apples. It's not quantifiable like SEO is, or like PPC is, or email marketing. Let's think about it. Email marketing, you see the open rate, you see the click rate, you see the results from that, whether it's sales, signups, whatever your goals are. You see it right then and there. Within 48 hours, you have your data. PPC, same thing. You see what you're spending, you see what the actions are, you see how well the campaign does. GEO is different. It takes time. The tools aren't really there. You can look and see, okay, what's your traffic look like? What does your brand uplift look like? What type of direct traffic uptick does that look like? What type of, what are the quality of leads? How do they look? Right? Speak to your sales team, your biz dev team, what's being communicated of new incoming leads. Those are all data points. That, what I just described, in my opinion, and that's what this article is kind of saying and alluding to, is it's going to require a mindset change,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be the toughest thing, I think, for businesses at the C-suite level that aren't involved in marketing day to day, for them to really get their heads around. But the thing is, you have to understand it. You have to try to learn this because, like we've talked about, investing in AI search and generative engine optimization now, getting in on this from now and building your foundational elements now will help your brand and help your company grow in the coming years. So,
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, John, what do you guys think of this?
Yeah. I started my prior to working here at Brick Marketing, I was a professional writer, and I started my writing business in 2000, the year 2000. That was a year that writing was under transition
Mm-hmm.
because most of it was traditional publication driven. And if I were to take on a project for marketing, it was very likely a direct mail campaign. Who even who even does that anymore?
Right.
Canva does that. You might print out a brochure, like design it and print it out, have it printed to take to a thing. But for the most part, professional copywriters aren't really doing that kind of work anymore. I mean, I'm talking
Hmm.
like mailers, those multi-page mailers.
Right.
That the fundamentals though, even during the transition when everything was kind of like going offline to online in the writing world, and publications were scrambling to try to get themselves online, the writing style started to shift and change. Even through all that change, the fundamentals of writing were the same.
Right.
A sentence was still a sentence, a paragraph was still a paragraph.
Right.
That is never, ever going to change no matter what happens. The same is true for now. The
Yeah.
fundamentals are always going
Yeah.
to be the same.
But the difference is management is very quantifiable in how they look
Yes.
at every other channel of marketing. They're like, oh, A plus B equals C. And it's repeatable. Like John, you've mentioned before, it's
Right.
repeatable. AI
Right.
search, it's not repeatable.
It's not.
GEO, it's not. We've looked at this data and we've seen studies. I mean, we saw that one, from Search Engine Land, that, or from Moz, that said that 12% of a crossover. We've seen results. I saw one study that said, I think it's the same prompt search results in ChatGPT and Gemini only happened like 10% of the time. So what does that mean? That means
Hmm.
you have to market heavily in your brand at all angles, coordinated, structured, consistent, in order to show up and get your brand and your product and your service to show up consistently in that conversation
Yes.
on
However,
GEO. That's
the
what's different here.
origin and the motive is still the same, though.
Totally.
We need
Totally.
information.
Right.
And then what are we going to do? How is it going to happen that we procure the information? Are we going to go to Google to look? Are we going to
Right.
go to Google to look and frame it in a way that we're actually trying to trigger the AI answers from Gemini? Are we going to just forget about the whole thing and not even go to Google to look? In
Mm-hmm.
my case, I usually forget the whole thing and go to one of the AI engines to look. It depends what I'm looking for. Honestly,
Right.
like you said, if I'm like in the car and I'm like, what is the address to that store? I'm not going to ChatGPT for that.
No.
I'm
Right.
going to the search engines for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, sure, yeah, I think it is actually accurate in this article saying that it's a change management problem because it's very clear that things have changed. Back then, when I started my writing career, it's very clear that things changed. How did they change? I don't know. One
Right.
has to sort it out, and one has to adapt.
Right.
That's really
Yeah.
it.
John, what do you think?
Yeah,
What's your
we've been
take?
talking about it a lot, and it's sort of
Mm,
the same sort of conversation comes up whenever you're talking about AI. It's just you have to adapt. It's a different thing. It's a new form of search. It's the same as when the internet was coming up. You just have to be ready
mm-hmm,
for it. You have to be willing to learn, and you have to be willing to play its games. Right? You can't just
mm-hmm,
ignore it and
Right.
just push it away, right? You can't do that. I think it's pretty clear that AI is here and it's here to stay in some
mm-hmm,
form or another. So I agree. It's just people who are behind, I think, are just behind because they're unwilling to learn something new and
Right.
adapt to
mm-hmm,
change.
Yeah. Yeah. And the advice there is outsource it, send your internal teams to trainings, learn it, but either way, you're going to have to ramp this up if you're going to want to
mm-hmm,
be competitive because, I think search is going to be change. I mean, it has changed considerably in the last few years, but I think a few years out, search is going to be totally different. And it's
mm-hmm.
going to be GEO is going to be the focal point of it. All right, moving on.